They lied to us about everything. Not just the news, not just politics, but the whole structure. What we are, what this place is, and why we are here. Since I was a kid, I always had this sense something wasn't right with this place. Like I was playing a part in a script I never agreed to. I was constantly being told who to be, what to believe, what success looks like, and what normal means. And I tried to follow it. I really did. But inside, something kept resisting. It was like being awake inside a dream, but everyone around you is still asleep, telling you it's all real. Anyway, I started digging, looking into most things people ignore, and what I found was literally layer after layer after layer of deception. From religion, to government, to education, to the idea of what a human being even is. They told us we were broken. They told us we were sinners. They told us we were just flesh and bone. Accidents, floating through space, just waiting to die. You know what? I don't believe any of that anymore. And the reason is I know better now. And I suspect, maybe, so do you. We are not just bodies. We're not just slaves to systems that we're born into. We're not here to be mined, numbed, tracked and drained until we give up. We're much more than that. Much more. And we've always been more than that. And they know it. But the second we're born, the programming begins. They teach us to trust authority, not our intuition. To chase approval instead of listening to our soul. To fear what's different. To silence our questions. And if you resist, you're labelled broken, mentally ill, schizophrenic, lost. But what if that pain, that inner friction, actually isn't a sign that we're broken at all? What if it's our signal, that we were never meant to fit in this system? What if that ache is your soul remembering you're not crazy, you're not lost, you're just starting to wake up?
What if everything you know about life is a carefully designed lie to keep you obedient?
I'm not talking about crazy theories. I'm talking about what you see every day, what you were told 1,000 times, what you never questioned. Because nobody told you the truth. You were trained since childhood, not to be free, nor to think for yourself. You were molded like a mouse in an experiment. And you didn't even notice? They gave you a cage, painted it in colors, put a sign on it that said education. Inside, they taught you to follow rules, not to break the mold. To repeat what others said, not to create your own ideas. They rewarded you for obeying, punished you for thinking differently. And like that, with every test, every grade, every absurd rule, they tamed you, little by little, without you realizing. Have you ever wondered why they never taught you how to manage your emotions? Why nobody talked to you about how money works, how to create wealth, how to live without depending on a boss? It wasn't an oversight. It was intentional. Because a free mind is dangerous. Because someone who thinks for themselves doesn't fit in. And you, since you were little, were trained to fit in. Fit in. Don't question. Don't raise your voice. Be polite. Be correct. Get good grades. Get a job. Get married. Buy a house. Mortgage yourself. Get into debt. Consume. Work. Die. That was the whole plan. A preset path. A conveyor belt that pushes you from the moment you're born until they bury you. And if you try to get off, if you say, I don't want this, if you decide to build something different, the system punishes you. Not with violence. It punishes you with disdain. It calls you weird, a failure, dangerous. It isolates you. It ridicules you. Because what it doesn't understand, it attacks. And what challenges its control, it eliminates. School was the first laboratory. Then came society, social media, advertising, hollow success models they sold you as goals, influencers who influence nothing, news that don't inform, they only entertain, shows that don't educate, they just numb you, movies that tell you how love, success, happiness should be, all chewed up, all digested, so you don't think, so you only consume. And you did it, we all did, because it's easy to be obedient, it's comfortable, it's safe, but that safety has a price, and the price is your freedom. Debt. That other shackle disguised as opportunity. Cards, credits, loans. They told you it was to help you. But it's not help. It's a chain, an invisible chain that ties you to a paycheck, to a job you hate, to schedules you don't control, to bosses you don't respect. And every time you try to get out, debt reminds you of your place. And the most perverse thing, they convinced you that if you fail, it's your fault. That if you don't have money, it's because you didn't work hard enough. That if you're sad, it's because you don't know how to be happy. That if you feel empty, it's because you're ungrateful. No, it's not your fault. You're not broken. You're conditioned, manipulated, trained. They put you in a maze, and now they blame you for not finding the exit. But here's the uncomfortable part. Getting out of the maze hurts, because it means unlearning, disobeying, breaking with everything you thought was right. And that's scary, because you're going to be alone, because you're going to be criticized, because you're going to lose many things, but you're also going to recover something they took from you as a child. Control. Control of your thoughts, your decisions, your time, your energy, your life. Freedom isn't doing whatever you want. It's knowing why you do what you do. It's making conscious decisions. It's looking the system in the face and saying, I'm not playing your game anymore. But that requires courage, because when you wake up, you can't go back to sleep. You start to see how school was never a place to cultivate geniuses, but to create employees. How history books left out the ideas that would make you question everything. How the media don't inform, they program. How your desires aren't yours, but planted by advertisers. And the worst part, you start to see how you did it to others too. To your kids, to your friends, to your partner. Because a slave who doesn't know he's a slave defends his chains like a trophy. Waking up is an act of betrayal. To your education, to your parents, to your past. But it's also the first step toward your freedom. And freedom doesn't mean giving up everything. It means questioning everything. It means looking your beliefs in the eye and asking, is this what I really think? Or did they put it in my head? Critical thinking, financial autonomy, emotional intelligence. These are the weapons. Not violence, not hate. Knowledge, awareness. The courage to say, no more. Because while you keep repeating empty self-help mantras, there are others getting rich off your obedience. While you wait for the end of the month, there are others designing the game. While you feel small, there's a system feeding off your fear. But now it's time. Time to break the cycle. To look around and say, this doesn't represent me. I didn't choose this. Time to choose what you believe, what you invest your time in, who you listen to, what you consume, who you give power over you. Because every time you watch TV, you're voting. Every time you buy something, you're voting. Every time you choose to stay silent so you don't make others uncomfortable, you're voting. You're choosing, even if you think you're not. The system doesn't need you to love it. It just needs you not to question it, to go with the flow, to work, to buy, to shut up. But there's another option. A life outside that wheel. One where work isn't a sentence, where money isn't a master, where you can think without fear, decide without permission, act without asking for approval. And no, it's not easy. You're going to fail. You're going to feel alone. You're going to doubt. But every step outside the herd is a step toward yourself. The path starts here, with a decision, with an uncomfortable question, with a enough. You don't need permission to change your life. You just need the courage to make yourself uncomfortable, to stop obeying without thinking. Poverty isn't just a lack of money, it's a lack of options, and they designed you not to have them. But you can redesign yourself, create new paths, learn what they never taught you, ask what they told you not to ask, dream what they made you believe impossible, and when you do it, when you start thinking differently, the system will know, and it will come for you, with mockery, with fear, with disdain, because your freedom threatens them, because your thinking is contagious, because if one wakes up, others can too, and that they can't allow. But it's too late. You've already seen the crack. You already know there's something more. And even if they tell you that you're crazy, that it makes no sense, that you should settle, you can't go back, so do it. Break it all. Disobey. Question. Reinvent. Learn. Share. Think. Doubt. But don't stay still. Because every second you obey without questioning, someone else is designing your destiny for you. And that, my friend, is true poverty. But now you know. And knowing, even if it hurts, is the first step to being free. And now that you know that the veil has fallen, that the machinery is exposed, what do you do with that knowledge? Because seeing the cage is just the beginning. The real trap isn't bars, it's mental. It's the voice in your head whispering, "What if all this is too much for me?" That voice isn't yours. It was implanted. Because there's another layer, deeper, more insidious. It's not just that they trained you to obey, it's that they taught you to distrust yourself. They programmed you to doubt, to need validation, to feel incomplete if you're not following the rules others wrote. And that's the most effective thing they've done. Put the enemy inside you. Think about this. How many times have you had a brilliant idea that you killed before it was born? How many times have you felt the urge to break the mold and swallowed it with fear? It wasn't by chance, it was training. Since you were little, they taught you to self-censor, to ask for permission for everything, to wait for the right moment, as if the right moment were dictated by someone else. That programming is the hardest to break because you no longer need an external oppressor. You become your own jailer. And here's the topic nobody wants to face: the fear of freedom. Yes, it sounds contradictory, but listen carefully. Most say they want to be free, but when they peek over the abyss of total autonomy, they freeze. Because freedom has no manual, no schedule, no one telling you what to do. And that, for a domesticated mind, is terrifying. True freedom demands radical responsibility. It means if you fail, it's your fault. You can't blame the system, the boss, the government, your parents. And that weighs heavily. That's why many, even waking up, return to their cell. Because there everything is decided, everything is safe, everything is predictable. Freedom is chaos, uncertainty, vertigo. But it's also the only way to build a life that makes sense.